Hey there, today we're going to be talking about the things that you should never ever say to your ex. Think of this as your ultimate guide on what not to do. And this is a video that could be applicable to pretty much any situation. If you're simply trying to move on from your ex, it's a really good idea to watch this video to figure out how to retain your dignity after a breakup. Or if you're trying to get your ex back and that's an avenue that you want to go, this is a very good guide or video to follow if you want to give yourself the best chance of success. So overall, when I looked at this video and trying to determine what I should be talking about, I wanted to look at real life circumstances. So what do I mean by that? Well, one of the things that we've been blessed with at ex-boyfriend recovery and ex-girlfriend recovery and marriage recovery is our ability to have lots of data. We have over 5,000 people who have purchased our programs that are in a private Facebook support group, all interacting and all telling us what's going on in their specific situation. And through just looking at all of those people in that Facebook group, we're able to determine the good behaviors and the bad behaviors. So each of the things that I'm going to say right now in this video are going to be things that you should never say to your ex, taken from real life scenarios that we've seen not go so well. And what's further, I may even go a little bit deeper and tell you why you should not do these behaviors. So overall, there are 5 types of things that you should never say to your ex. So let's just get started. Thing number 1, do not send your ex one-word text messages. Okay, this is an extremely tempting thing to do because pretty much any time that you go through a breakup, your normal pattern of talking to your ex is completely interrupted. Maybe you get used to this scenario where you're waking up every single morning, they're texting you or you're texting them, and then all of a sudden that is gone. But what are those specific text messages that you are sending? Well, more often than not, we grow a little complacent in our routines and our patterns, and we're sending one-word text messages to our partners day in and day out. Simply like, hey, or what's up? Something without a lot of substance. Well, now that you've gone through a breakup, the rules are completely different. Not only is your ex no longer your romantic partner, they're simply an acquaintance. And acquaintances, especially if you're trying to re-attract an acquaintance, one of the worst things you can do is send them a one-word text message, especially if you've done a no contact rule on them, meaning you've ignored them for 21 to 45 days and then just randomly out of the blue say, hey, or what's up? It's gonna take a little extra to capture their attention. That's why we've actually found a lot of success using damsel in distress type text messages, especially for women texting men after a breakup. You'll notice these types of text messages are not one-word text messages. Usually it's something along the lines of, hey, I need your opinion on something, I need your help on something, and then you explain what that something is. And usually your ex is more than likely to oblige. Now that's the short and very quick version. There's actually multiple videos that I've done on this YouTube channel talking about damsel in distress text messages and how to properly use one, but the real important thing to kind of look at here is understanding one-word text messages are a no-go. Thing number 2, telling them I love you when it's too soon. Okay. This is actually something we see a lot of. One of the things that our program teaches is this concept of a value chain or a value ladder. Essentially, what we're trying to do is we're trying to use the different mediums of communication through text messaging to phone calls, video chat, all the way up to seeing your ex in person as different ways in which you can build value slowly and methodically. But sometimes people tend to get a little too excited. They like to go from 0 to 60 right off the bat. And maybe this is even more difficult if you were in a relationship with an ex where this actually happened, where your first relationship with them before this breakup was essentially a 0 to 60 rapid fire type of a pace. But we've always seen it backfire, especially with our clients who are trying to get their exes back. Why? Well, simply put, your view on things isn't going to be the same as your ex's view on things. So while you may feel in your heart that timing is right, you need to wait for some indications from your ex to make sure that that I love you or that outpouring of love from you or that outpouring of emotion from you is going to be received in a positive way. And usually that doesn't ever happen until you get to see them one-on-one in person on an actual romantic type of a date. Thing number 3, telling them you're depressed without them. Okay, this is a very understandable one. Most of the people who are going to be watching this video, especially my YouTube channel, are going to be on the dumpy side of things, meaning they've been dumped by their ex and it's making them very upset, angry, and depressed. Oftentimes, especially when it comes to someone who we've felt like we've shared our entire lives with or an entire piece of ourselves with, it's hard not to turn to that person for emotional support. But your ex is no longer that person. So ultimately, this one, never saying like, I'm super depressed and you're the reason, or I'm super depressed, help me, doesn't ever come off as really good. It comes off as, oh my goodness, this person has so much emotional baggage and they want me to fix it. I can tell you that when I was single, this is one of the most disturbing things for a guy specifically, because the last thing that we want is an overabundance of emotion. We don't want to have to hold your hand through every single emotional hardship that you're going to go through all the time. And especially if this was a huge point of contention in your relationship and you're simply verifying that hypothesis by your ex, thinking, oh my goodness, another circumstance where I have to hold their hand through every single emotional hardship. And you're just verifying that by saying, I'm depressed, help me. It usually doesn't come off as really well. And most importantly, it's not exactly what a secure person would do. Someone who's extremely secure with themselves isn't going to be trying to use their ex to make them feel better. Everything that they need can be found from within, not from without. Hey there, real quick, I want to say that if you're new to this YouTube channel or you're trying to figure out what you should be doing to get your ex back and you're trying to learn if you even have a chance in your specific circumstance, probably the smartest thing for you to do is actually stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz that can be found at exboyfriendrecovery.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, taking that free quiz is super easy to do. All you have to simply do is look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can fill it out and get an easy answer on what you should be doing going forward and overall what your chances look like in your specific situation. So again, if you haven't taken the quiz and you're interested in taking this free, simple 2-minute quiz, simply look in the description link below the YouTube video and click on the link you see there. All right, so let's get you back to the video. Thing number 4, blaming your ex for the breakup. Here on this YouTube channel, on Ex-Boyfriend Recovery or Ex-Girlfriend Recovery or even Marriage Recovery, we are no strangers to the blame game. Generally speaking, when we're talking to our clients, we'll hear, my ex blames me for this, or I blame my ex for this. And sometimes we let anger or emotions get the better of us, especially when we begin talking to our ex. We start blaming them for specific things that they did wrong in the breakup. Now, I am a believer of talking things out, especially if you can get your ex back. One of the challenges we find for our clients who do get their exes back is keeping that relationship surviving. And bringing up very controversial things like what they did wrong in the breakup needs to be handled with extreme care. Timing matters here. How you say or bring this up matters. The type of techniques you'll need to be using, understanding or empathizing with their point of view, all happens. Do not worry. But at the beginning, when you're trying to reattract them, this is not the time for the blame game. The blame game is not even supposed to be really the blame game. It's not supposed to be, you did this wrong and I was right and you were wrong. It's not about that. It's about understanding their worldview and finding a way to get through to them so that they understand what they did wrong, not you blaming them. Only they can fix the blame. It's kind of weird. But here's the important thing that we're trying to get across in this video. Do not blame your ex for whatever they did wrong in the breakup, except maybe cheating or something like that. But that's a special circumstance. In general situations, do not blame your ex or say you're at fault for this. It usually doesn't end well. Thing number 5, faking a panic attack to get attention. Okay, remember a few things ago when I was explaining what type of things that men don't want? They don't want to constantly handle your emotional baggage. Well, this is the extreme version of that. We have had people in our private Facebook group who are trying to get their exes back not do so well at getting their exes back. And when this typically happens, they snowball, and the snowball kind of compounds to the point where they get these really dumb ideas, especially if they have a history of panic attacks. They start faking panic attacks in order to get their ex's attention. They understand that their ex is a very caring individual, so if they fake the panic attack, surely that's a damsel in distress moment. No, that shows how crazy you actually are. And I am sorry to call you out on this, but if you are faking a panic attack or doing any type of behavior where you're faking something to get attention, you have bigger problems than your ex. I'm not saying you're mentally disturbed or anything like that. What I am saying though is you need to start working on your attachment style. You are a much more anxious attachment style when you need to be a much more secure attachment style. Now, I've talked a lot about attachment styles on this YouTube channel, and that's because we're a big believer in how they affect your chances of getting exes back. But more than anything, faking a panic attack or faking any type of emotional disturbed behavior to get an ex's attention is something you should never, ever do. So I know I barely scratched the surface on this one. I know there's probably 10 other things that you should never say to your ex. But I'm kind of curious, what do you guys think you should never say to your ex? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you haven't taken that quiz that we talked about in this video, make sure you do that. Again, all you have to do if you want to take the free Ex Recovery Chances quiz is simply go to our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and like our videos and comment on our videos. All of that stuff really helps. But one thing that we're trying to do a better job of lately is getting subscribers. So this is me basically saying, if you subscribe to this YouTube channel, I promise you that I'm always going to do my very best to give you the cutting edge insights. We're learning about breakups, how to handle breakups. We'll be interviewing multiple really smart people. We'll be having the ex recovery coaches come on and provide content. We will work hard for you. So you subscribing to our channel is going to bring a lot of value to your life. So make sure you subscribe to my Chris Sider YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.